Hello, and welcome to the Embrace Balance, Discover Joy podcast. I'm Amanda Butland, your host and intuitive life coach. All right, well, welcome to another episode of the Embrace Balance, Discover Joy podcast. Today, my special guest is Joanna Norland. Joanna, thank you so much for being here today. So happy that you're here
For
with me.
inviting me.
All right, so I always like to start with a little icebreaker question. Can you share with us what hobby or activity brings you the most joy and why?
Well, I'm a writer to my core. And so I'd say that writing brings me joy. Writing makes everything else better. And when I feel joy about something else, I want to find a way to write about it. And I'm also a writing coach, and seeing other people bring their writing dreams into reality gives me huge joy.
Oh, I love that. I love what you said about just that passion that you have, and then now helping others pursue that passion as well, and bringing joy to others. I love that you've incorporated sort of your passion into what you do. Can you share a little bit more, maybe around how you were able to discover this passion, and now bringing that joy to others?
Sure. So I think writing found me from a very, very young age. So it was just always there. I guess you're really lucky if the thing you're drawn to is the thing you get asked to do a lot in school. It's a lot easier than if your passion is something obscure that you kind of have to uncover in an off-course path. Um, but I then had probably a very long period where I guess I was, quote, discovered when I was very young. So or rather, I was quite precocious as a writer. So there was a long period in my kind of school and immediately kind of university years where I was getting a lot of kind of kudos and winning competitions and opportunities around writing. And I wrote a play that was produced off Broadway in a festival when I was second year of university, and I paid my rent in university writing a column for the city paper, and all of that was wonderful. The challenge around that is that when you start writing for kudos and then writing for money, you forget that you're writing for passion. Mm. And when in my mid 20s, right through to for I guess a good 15 years after that, when suddenly it's not so easy and the external accolades stop rolling in, and you're suddenly going to have to work a lot harder to do it, to get those same kinds of external rewards, you can forget why you even started. And I struggled with a lot of writer's block through my mid 20s until probably my 30s, and then on and off after that. And in the periods when I wasn't writing, when I was doing other things, along the way, I got a law degree. I mean, I was busy. I got a law degree. I got married. I had children. It was lots of good stuff. But I always felt rather lost when I wasn't writing. And what I felt lost about wasn't necessarily getting paid for it or the kudos, but over time, what I realized what actually I felt really lost was the writing, not writing. And that took me longer to realize that was the piece that was missing. That was the piece that made every bit of life feel incomplete. Was not getting my work produced or in newspapers or whatever, but just not writing. Where I found my path back, it was I was actually at some law dinner. This was after years of writer's block. I think my law firm had a Thanksgiving dinner, and I was speaking to the wife of one of my colleagues, a doctor, and she mentioned that she was part of a writing group. She had recently joined a writing group. And I felt such a green haze rush of envy. I still remember how jolting that was to hear that she was in a writing group and I wasn't, that I could barely hear anything she said. And the rest of the evening went through a bit of this kind of blur of envy. And when the dust settles, sometimes envy is really useful. If you don't stay with it and you use it as a signpost for where you want to be, it's really valuable. And so, as busy as I was working first year lawyer hours, that weekend I researched opportunities in, at that point I was living in London. And that research led me to a playwriting class being offered by Royal Academy of Dramatic Arts, which in turn led me to a writing group that I was with for years and led me back to writing for an extended period. I then struggled and lost writing again after becoming a parent. I literally, that arc back to writing brought me back to the birth of my first son, of my son, where I was literally finishing a play for production while I was in labor, and then doing the edits in that wonderful first week when babies sleep a lot and nobody tells you that that's not going to last. I just thought, oh wow, I'm such a great parent. He's such an easy baby. But I finished. Finished a play which was produced and later got published. And once again, as a parent, when you're kind of balancing all that stuff, lost hold of it for quite a while. And that's where coaching came in. Not, it was a number of years after that. I think what made writing and parenting so challenging for me wasn't necessarily the schedule and the busyness, because we all have busy schedules and we all have demands. It was more that parenting threw up a lot of anxiety for me around everything you should be doing as a mother and everything I was trying to control as a mother. And I was, although my kids were definitely the best thing in my life, I really struggled with the anxiety and over control and hovering as a parent. And so a few years after that, I did a personal development course, which had a coaching component to it, which was rocket fuel. And it wasn't necessarily that I needed that to show me my passion. In my case, I was very clear on what my passion was and how much it was costing me not to pursue it. But I needed to figure out how to clear my headspace and carve out time and energy, and energy more than time, energy and focus for this very personal thing that was going to change my life. And I could not do that until I could find a way to comfortably cede control over every aspect of my children's lives. And so the sort of gift of coming through really good coaching was coming to the higher quality challenge of how to be a writer, because as I was able to kind of loosen that iron grip, so two things happened. One is my kids started doing a lot better, so there was a lot less to worry about, and our relationship got a lot better, so there was a lot. So it became something that was adding joy and energy to my life rather than undermining it. But I then suddenly had a great deal of creative energy. And so I started writing daily and writing a lot and reclaiming this kind of love of writing. And I, I guess there's whenever I do something that I love, the desire to kind of put it into words, which I guess is a form of teaching it, becomes a huge pull. And I had such a deep feeling that I was such a deep conviction about how much joy writing gives, and how, if you feel called to write, how vital it is to be pursuing that. That I then was literally at a farm talking to a uh, uh, I'd taken my kids to a farm, and the farmer who ran it mentioned that she had always wanted to write a story, but she'd been thinking about it for 9 years. She had never quite figured out how to write it. And out of nowhere, I said, "Oh, I'm a writing coach." And once I said it, I had to do it. And sorry, just give me a second. I started. I had a concept about how that, because I had gone that route myself, about how you get somebody who has been struggling to write to get back to the page. And so we worked together for about 9 months, which is the time it takes to create a baby. And we created a baby. She wrote, Nikki Fisher wrote and published her book, which she now sells on her farm. Take a look in the Nook. And from there, my coaching business sort of built up. And that was, I guess, to close the loop on coaching, where something I was trying to do, life started to get crazier in kind of a higher quality way, where I'm writing and coaching and have kind of a million different projects on the go, and you just figure out, how do you channel that passion? It wasn't about what is the passion, but what do you do with it? And that's where you and I had a couple of really useful sessions, coaching sessions on how to guide that.
Yeah, I love that, you sort of like that reigniting that passion, a couple times, but always knowing that it was there, and just it was a matter of like getting that a little bit of help in helping you focus, and now you're helping others with this beautiful gift that you have, to help them overcome those blocks, and getting books published. That's amazing. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for sharing that story and your journey with us. It's really inspiring to see, when you have that, when you've known about this passion since you were like a child, and then just having, you know, still, stumbling blocks along the way, but now you're like really living it and doing it, and helping others and serving others in that way with that passion. So that's amazing. Um, so going back to sort of how you got to where you are today, what was that? What was that thing that inspired you to take writing as a passion for yourself, and then transform that into a passion that you now have for serving others and helping others develop that passion within themselves?
Okay. One of the most important things I learned through coaching was how much I could do and how much fear and anxiety I could lose when I approached things that used to worry me with a service ethic, when I approached life in service of others rather than to try to get specific things for myself. Suddenly, I felt like I could do anything. I think we have a mindset that somehow we're supposed to do it on our own. We're supposed to figure it out ourselves. And as humans, it's just so clear to me that we are capable of so much, but we're capable of so much because of our extraordinary ability to interact, to get each other's wisdom, to work together, to cooperate. We were never meant to do this individually. And there is no scarcity of time, but there's only no scarcity of time if you're doing things to shrink time. And coaching is just such an extraordinary way to collapse time and suddenly be able to make a jump in one moment that otherwise might take you years in the desert to come to. And so and life is so incredibly precious that to not avail yourself of something that could collapse time and give you this extraordinary door opening just feels so impossibly wasteful. I feel like most of us barely scratched the surface of what we could do and experience and the impact that we could have. And I guess that's where the service ethic helps me seek what I need for myself, because I know that once I have it, I can pass it on. You told me once a minute is a lot of time. And now I broadcast that to so many people to change their lives. And so once you have it, you can share it. And then finally, I guess it all comes down to Mary Oliver's wonderful quote, the poet Mary Oliver, which I kind of scribble everywhere and think about all the time. Tell me, what is it that you are going to do with your one wild and precious life? And I think all of us inside, we know what is it we want to do with our one wild and precious life, but that voice gets drowned out by everything else. And whatever it is that we want to do with that one wild and precious life, it's not laundry, unless you have a special unique brilliance for laundry, and then you should. And coaching is can be just such a powerful modality for articulating that, grooving it into our souls, and then making sure we actually do it.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. Yes. I mean, I think there are so many people that have these sort of passions that they've known about, but that get hidden or, put away. And I love that you're living yours. So thank you so much for sharing your passionate life with us today. It's so great to talk to you. Thank you.
Thank you for the questions and the mentoring.
I invite you to subscribe to the Embrace Balance Discover Joy podcast and join our community. If you feel inspired by what you hear, please leave a review and share this podcast with others who might benefit. And remember, it's never too late to embrace balance and discover joy in your life. Stay tuned for our upcoming episodes filled with inspiring stories and valuable insights. Until next time, take care and be kind to yourself.